Welcome! In this video we'll be doing a brief overview of the workshop function and how to use it and what to do with it. When you first go into the workshop, you will see on the right hand side that you have some of the items that you can craft already at 1 star, but others that are going to be locked. Simply selecting those and unlocking them, paying the cost that is required to unlock them, or basically buy the recipe, is all that it takes to unlock them. Once you have them, you will be able to craft them. Now you can upgrade each of these from 1 star all the way up to 6. Starting off, let's take a look at some of these. Some of the options that you have. You have the Hangover Elixir, which is a elixir that gives a buff of 5% spell resistance rate to all of your allies. The Assimilation Elixir, which is a 5% nature resist rate. You have the Devil's Bane, which is curse resist rate, and so on and so forth. As you go up, you can look and see what they give you. As you level them up, they do become better. For example, the next stage is at 2 stars, the resistance increase goes up to 10%, meaning that you gave 5%. This will happen at each star level that you increase, meaning that the next one that you go up at 3 stars, the resistance will go up to 15%. At 4 stars, it goes up to 20%, at 5 stars, 25%, and you can keep increasing them up until, the max of 5 stars, not 6 stars is the max, 5 stars is the max, meaning that you can end up with a decent amount of bonus, which is 25%. The ones that you would notice, you have various elixirs for various things depending on what you're needing. You have accuracy, which can go up to a max of 10%. You have your crit resist rate, which I believe also goes up pretty decent. You crit power rate, which goes up, I believe, to 25%. The evasion rate, I think, also caps out at 10%. You have your healing, which caps out at 10%. Physical resist, I believe, is 25%, and crit rate 1 caps out at 10%. Now, to level these up, we'll go over it. Let's choose the spell one here at the end. This one is at stage 1 right now, and if I wanted to enhance this one to a 2-star elixir, then I would simply select it and then go over to the bottom left and click the Enhance button. This will then tell me what it does. It goes from Hangover Elixir 1 to Hangover Elixir 2 and increases and goes from a spell resist rate of 5% up to a spell resist rate of 10%. This will take 30 minutes to do this to increase it up to that amount, and these are the material costs that it does, 10 and 3 of each of these materials. This is a storm fragment which you get from exploration, and this is the magic core that you get from exploration. Once I decide to do this, I simply click Enhance, and then it starts, and then you'll notice that it puts a timer on that elixir. That timer is counting down and will tell me when it's done. I can force it to be done by using rubies by clicking the Complete Now, or just simply waiting out the duration of the timer. As you notice up here, this one, for example, the physical resist rate I have at 4. If I wanted to increase this one up and enhance it up to the next stage to the 5, you'll notice it goes from 20 to 25%. It tells me that I need 50 of this Stone of Controls, which again is from exploration. I need these, the Dark Catalyst, which is again from exploration. All of the items are. And then of course the last one, which is the Moonlight Fragments, I need 10 of. But the time to do this is 24 hours. It will take 1 day for this to finish, to go from 20 to 25%. During this time, you will not be able to craft anything with it. The cost also goes up to a very high 500,000 gold. So to increase these up to the max at 5 stars, they do get quite expensive. So try to focus on the ones that you'll want to use the most. The resistance ones aren't going to be necessarily something that you're going to be using too often, except for maybe the physical resist, as that one provides good resistance against things such as stuns and provokes. The ones that you will be using a lot, however, such as the crit rate increase, which is very good for damage. Another one is the healing received one, which is very nice to have. Other ones are the accuracy rate increase, the crit power rate for more damage, or perhaps evasion rate, depending on what you're doing. These are ones that you would want to do. Now, if I select one that I want to do, and I've done this one, you can change the amount too. So for example, if I wanted to create more of these accuracy rate elixirs, I can choose to craft it after selecting it, and I can choose the amount that I want to craft. So for example, for this one, let's say I wanted to do one. If I do one, then the cost is 1100 gold, which is very low, and the craft time is 2 minutes 30 seconds. However, if I wanted to do more, let's say I wanted to do 6 of them. So I would increase this up to 6. The cost is 6 times at 6600 now, and it goes up to 15 minutes. It just increases the duration, and then it crafts all of them in that time. So if I do this one now, and I click on craft, it will begin the craft time, and it will show me the time left remaining. If, however, I wanted to use some of these, or maybe some of them were too expensive to craft and I didn't want to do it, then let's say on this one, the healing one, let's say I went to go craft it, it tells me the single cost is 1300. So if I go to this one, 1300 takes 3 minutes to craft it. Well, let's say I didn't want to do this one. Let's say I wanted a lower one. Then of course you can change the stage level back down all the way to 1 and then start crafting those. As you change the stages, if you have any crafted, it will show you on the left hand side a X number at the top corner, and that will tell you how many of that one you have. As you can see, I don't have any of them until the 5-star for this one, as I've used most of them in previous times during gameplay. These elixirs are used during the game. Every time you go to create a team, you have 3 options that you can place in there, and then an option to turn that on. That will start using these elixirs whenever you're doing that and you're creating that team. These are basically just bonus stats that you get for your team, and each time that you do a battle with an elixir, it consumes one from this quantity. So if you're using them just in your day-to-day adventure stages, you're going to be just spending a lot of your resources to do that, so I wouldn't recommend it. Instead, I would use them for other things, perhaps tough boss fights or certain aspects like that, or even the air battles where you want to have that little bit of an extra edge of stats. If there's a section that you're struggling with and you think that you can beat it, but you're missing something, you can pick the stat from these elixirs that you have, and then you can apply those to that fight, and then by simply turning them on and off. Let's go take a look at the team where the elixirs are. As you'll notice on this one, this adventure team, you have the options where it says potions at the bottom and then a switch to turn them on and off. Now let's say I go to the potion options, I click one of the pluses. It'll tell me the one that I have and how many I own. So let's say for this one, even though this is an adventure, we'll just use it as an example. Let's say I go here, I have multiple grades of the crit rate increase as I've been making them as I've progressed through the game. So let's go ahead and use the last one, the Elixir 3. So we'll select that one. There, that one is now in use. I can have up to 3 of these in use. So as I can select that one, I can now go up and I can select a different one. Perhaps for this one I can do the healing received or an evasion one. I have a couple of levels of the evasion one, so we can use that one as well. And then I have a couple of different levels of the crit power one, so I can use that one as well. This one will now give me a bonus crit rate, a bonus crit power, and bonus evasion when using it. Now they'll show up down here, but they're grayed out, which means they won't be consumed. The way to turn them on to use them is you select the on button. This will now make them consumed each time I start a battle with them. Now, if I want to have these as a default option, then I can leave them there and leave it on, or I can simply just uncheck it to turn them off, and then they will not be consumed for that battle that I'm doing. That's basically how to use them. Again, looking at the workshop, this is something you get these items from doing the exploration. As you do the exploration, you will collect the materials needed for increasing them and for bumping them up to the higher levels. And then once you decide to do it for the crafting, you do not need anything else. So the exploration will give you the levels that you need for increasing them up to the max, and then you can consume them and use them. They are worth doing as they do provide valuable bonus stats. That's going to be it for this one. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below and I'll answer them as soon as possible. Thank you.